Hey internet, been a while. I'm here. I'm still alive. AlphaRookie's still a thing. I'm married now. It's been a journey. It's been quite a year. And speaking of the year, it's almost over. And we didn't do much. We're proud of some of the stuff that we did, but we're gonna try to pinch out a couple more things before the end of the year. Kyle, oh, by the way, so if this is your first time, welcome to AlphaRookie. Check out some of the other content. This is mostly for some of the people who check our stuff out for comic books and stuff. This is not going to be a crazy in-depth video. This is going to be kind of more just like, I know you guys are hungry for something, maybe, and so I want to give it to you. So how can I get a lot of information out to you very quickly? Kyle said, why don't you do a best of 2018 like everybody else does? I said, that's fine. I don't read everything. I especially don't read everything that's new. I read older stuff, and I was really busy this year, but I started looking at all of the things that I actually read this year, and when I started looking at the list, I'm like, oh, gee whiz, it was a lot of horror books, because that's the kind of stuff that I like. So instead of making it kind of like a best of 2018, like across the board kind of thing, I just thought I would talk about some of the best horror books that I read this year that you guys can check out for yourselves. So, without further ado, I don't do top 10s or ranks or anything like that. I'm just gonna talk to you about some of the cool books I read. We were just so rudely interrupted by a fucking spam call. Sorry about that. Right, so, best horror books 2018. I'm just gonna go with stuff that got released in trade paperback, because comic books are weird, and a comic book might start in one year, and then it takes a while for it to come out, and then it finishes in the following year or years later. So I'm only gonna talk about stuff that maybe it did start in 2017, but the graphic novel or the first graphic novel has come out in 2018, or maybe the series did come out in 2018. Whatever.
What is time?
What is time? Time is a flat circle. And
time is a wheel.
And books are a flat square. So, first up is a superhero book from Marvel. It's called Immortal Hulk. But it's not really a superhero book. It's more of a horror book, which is cool. So, the way that Hulk started out, he was a monster. In fact, like the tagline on the first issue, I think, said, is he man or is he monster or is he both? So it's kind of cute. They always come up with subtitles for the different trades to differentiate the different volumes and stuff. So this one is Immortal Hulk Volume 1, and it's just called Or Is He Both? ? Which might be pretty confusing if you don't understand the context. Anyway, Hulk has been through a lot of shit. Most people think of Hulk as Bruce Banner gets angry. When he gets too angry, he turns into the Hulk, right? But actually, originally, that wasn't the case. There was different stuff back when he became the Hulk at night, kind of like when a werewolf turns into a monster when the moon comes out. So they're kind of going back to that, trying to take Hulk back to his horror roots. They do this every once in a while. It's not like the first time it's ever been done, but this has been the first time in a while. Hulk has been everything from like Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. To like a smart guy to like Bruce and the Hulk become two completely separate physical entities that square off against each other. Hulk's been through fucking everything. So what they're doing right now is they're going back to, like, if it's nighttime, then the Hulk comes out. Also, Bruce Banner can't be killed. Bruce Banner, if you kill him, if you shoot him in the head, he'll go into the corner. And as soon as it's nighttime, guess what? He's going to turn into the Hulk, and then he's going to be fine again when he turns back into Bruce Banner. This is coming out of, oh God, here we go. Somebody's going to care though. He was killed in Civil War II, which Marvel published right around the time, you guessed it, Captain America Civil War was in theaters. I don't know the whole story, but basically I think he entrusted Hawkeye. He gave him a special arrow and said, like, kill me if this thing happens, and he did. So Hulk was kind of gone for a while, and then he got brought back in something called Avengers No Surrender. So if you want to see his return, I'm pretty sure that's where he came back. I don't care about any of that stuff. For me now, it's Bruce Banner back to on the road, can't get to know anybody really well, has to stay hidden, has to stay off the grid, and Hulk has become this. The other thing people think when they think of Hulk is like, oh, he's dumb. He's a big, dumb, lumbering, oh, Hulk smash, and that's it. Which, again, go back and read all his comics. There's been lots of times when he's actually been hyper intelligent, all this kind of stuff. What's neat about this incarnation is Hulk is sort of like, if Bruce Banner is sort of like cold intelligence, cold logic, Hulk has like an emotional intelligence. Hulk can, the way a dog can like smell your fear, Hulk can smell your guilt. That's they're doing all that. So like he's become sort of like a monster vengeance sort of thing. And so the first few issues have been sort of like a morality tales, you know, like Tales from the Crypt style. Like Hulk finds out that, you know, this person does something really shitty, and he finds a way to kind of visit that badness back onto them, you know, so they pay for it or whatever. It's beautifully drawn. I was not familiar with this artist before. It's Joe Bennett, I believe. Joe Bennett. And man, he's got some really cool stuff. The first issue was a pretty big mission statement. There's this panel in particular where it's just a giant double-page spread of just Hulk's face, like kind of in your face. It seemed like that's what they're trying to do. Like you can't escape it. Like, anyway, it's good. It's not what I was expecting. I am going to enjoy it until it gets co-opted into a crossover or, you know, some kind of other nonsense, which always happens with these kinds of things. But if you're a horror person and you've been kind of flirting with the idea of trying out a Marvel book, I highly suggest Immortal Hulk. It's a lot of fun. All right, moving right along. I guess I'll just do these in the order that they're stacked in. It doesn't really matter. Kill the Minotaur. What's that? This was one of my favorite books. It is a complete series, so if you wanted to go to the bookstore and get this, you'd get just a complete done-in-one full story. It is about Minotaur. It's a retelling of the story of Theseus, who is you know, the Greek hero that slayed the Minotaur and all that. What makes this one really cool, and why I'm including it in the horror category, is that it's a total monster movie version of the Minotaur. Anything that can be played up as horrific about that story is, and that includes like the fact that because the story goes is that Athens had to continuously give citizens to Crete, ruled by King Minos, I think. And you know, they were fed to the Minotaur. They were put in the labyrinth and, you know, given to the Minotaur. So it's really f***ed up, but it's mostly just a really good monster book. The Minotaur itself is sort of a very The Thing, Carpenter's The Thing-esque monstrosity. It's gross, it's in pain, and it does damage. So it's just about these kind of group of Athenians and other people. Athenians? Sure. Athenians that are...
That's my guess, I don't really know.
Sure. That are stuck in the maze, in the labyrinth, and they try to survive against the Minotaur. I thought it was really well done. I thought it was paced really well. My first thought while reading is this would make a killer movie. Turns out I wasn't the only one. It has already been optioned for a film. No idea if that doesn't mean anything. You know, it could never happen, but it has been optioned. It would make a great film. Can't wait to see it. Kill the Minotaur. Check it out.
Now Jason Momoa is a Minotaur.
Now Jason, yeah, what?
He seems like a good fit for a Minotaur.
Yeah, cover his face. That's a good idea. It's just, they could just put little horns on him, and he could still look like Jason Momoa.
Oh wait, sorry, I was thinking of Centaur, or what's the dude who has a horse body?
That's a centaur. He'd be a good centaur. Yeah, he'd be a good centaur. The Minotaur has a bull head.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Either way, Jason Momoa works for both.
Yeah. Jason Momoa works for everything.
Once DC no longer works anymore, he's got to get another job. So
go out and see Aquaman. China already did. Made huge big bucks in China. All right. Next book is another miniseries. Again, self-contained. If you want something that you can read in one evening, this is a good pick. It's called...
What if I do my reading in the morning?
You could read it in the morning, too.
Okay, good.
But if it's a horror book, you should read it at night, because it's kind of creepier and scarier. Or I get bed in the morning, you could just close all the blinds, and it's weird. Never mind. Infidel. Talk about Infidel. Infidel is really good. The creative team for this book actually sent our store like a lot, like 3 issues in advance. So I got to read the first 3 issues well before the first issue even came out. And I was really impressed with it, and really pushed the book hard in the store. Infidel is basically it's one of those horror books that, like they live, it's like, it's obviously about something else, right? Like Get Out, it's about racism, but it is sort of a ghost. All right. There's this building in New York, and a lot of different people live in there. a lot of different people from different ethnic backgrounds and so on and so forth. And there is an entity, a demon, a ghost, it's not particularly clear in the beginning, that feeds off of conflict. It really, like, that's what it, you know, you've seen it before, like in movies where, like, oh, it feeds on fear, like Pennywise in the, yeah, what, the Chinese movie?
Yeah.
I didn't see that, so I don't know.
It looks like that.
Everybody else is gonna know Pennywise. I think Pennywise is probably the more apt example. Pennywise feeds off fear, right? All right, so it's kind of like that. He's like a Pennywise type thing, but he feeds off conflict. So he's playing up everybody's prejudices and, you know, stuff like that. It doesn't come off too like preachy or like too obvious or anything. It's actually genuinely creepy. It's really well drawn, which is a big part of it. I don't think it would work without how good the art was. But excellent. Thought it was well done. If you're interested in kind of like socially minded horror, definitely check it out. All right, moving right along. This one is not going to be news for a lot of people who follow us already. Aliens Dead Orbit. I did a whole video review on this that you can go and check out, but it's 2018, had to include it on my list. This book was fantastic. I'm about to record a commentary on it, where I go through the whole thing and kind of just let you know my thoughts. It's by James Stokoe. Excellent illustrator, usually does more kind of over the top, really energetic, really like big. He did a Godzilla book that was awesome. That was perfectly fit his sensibilities. Was not expecting a more creeping, terror, quiet, claustrophobic kind of style, alien style comic book, but that's what he delivered. I thought he did a really good job. On that horror tip from him, might as well talk about also, he did a book a while ago that was a Kickstarter book. It was called Sullivan Sluggers. I guess I'm cheating, this is not in my list, but they reprinted it in graphic novel form this year. Previously, you wouldn't have been able to read it unless you actually backed the Kickstarter and got it that way. And that is about a group of overweight, drunk, what do you call it when you're not a professional baseball player? Is it Bush League? Is that the, like when you're like...
Or minor league.
Minor league, I guess minor league.
AAA.
Yeah. And baseball players that end up somewhere stranded fighting monsters. It's exactly as stupid as it sounds. It's fun. If you like kind of like old 80s horror movies and stuff like that, you'd really dig it. So that's available in bookstores as well.
How about Battlefield Baseball?
Like that. Is that that's a Japanese movie? One? Yeah, there's no baseball bats with syringes that come out of them, and but yeah, it's still pretty good all the same. All right, moving on. I got two left. Stick with me. 2 left. All right, let's do this one. All right, next one on my list is Redlands or Redlands. Redlands? I think Redlands. I actually am just now realizing I don't know why it's called Redlands. I have actually no idea. It takes place in the Deep South, so it probably has something to do with that, like something in terms of the area where they live or something. I feel like an asshole for not understanding the title. If you've seen or heard of or kind of been aware of that show True Blood, and you either watch it and you're like, yeah, it was bad, or you didn't watch it because you knew it was bad, this is like a version of True Blood that's good. It's witches, it's witchcraft, and generally like from witches' perspective. In the Deep South, it's sexual, it's dark, it's violent, it's beautifully drawn by Vanessa Del Rey, who what I really enjoy about this book is she did this book with Jordi Belair. Jordi Belair is actually better known for she's one of the best colorists in the business, but she's starting to write comic books now here with Redlands. So she's writing the comic book, Vanessa Del Rey is illustrating it, and then Jordi Belair is going back and doing the colors. And I think they're doing just a bang-up job. It's really... What I really like about it is that it's
not... Let me know my reaction to what I'm looking at right now.
Is that because you think the art sucks, or is it because it's something crazy on the page?
It's crazy.
Okay, yeah, it's crazy.
When you said it's sexual, you weren't joking.
Oh yeah, no, there's fucking. It's steamy fucking. No, it's good. Like, it's sexy. What was I gonna say with the artwork? Oh, so what I really like is that Vanessa Del Rey doesn't mind actually keeping her stuff dark. A lot of illustrators, they don't want their shit to be... Rob Boutine, the guy, I think it's Rob Boutine, the guy who did like the creature effects for The Thing. I think one of the anecdotes from the making of that movie is that he did these beautiful fucking amazing creatures that he assembled, and then John Carpenter put them in darkness, because they look better that way. And so illustrators is kind of the same thing. Sometimes with horror books, it's like it's not scary or trying to be creepy or anything like that because they want you to see their line work. What I really like about this is that it feels as murky as it should. It feels shadowy and murky. Shadowy, murky, sexy, violent, witches, down south. It's really good. Check it out. There's 10 million witch comics out right now, and this is one of the better ones.
And a dog bites a man's dick.
Okay, and a dog bites a man's dick. Okay, last one.
How to transition out of that.
Last one is one by one of my favorite writers. I did a video on his amazing series Preacher. It's Walk Through Hell by Garth Ennis. Garth Ennis, you probably know him. He's done all kinds of stuff. More and more of his stuff is getting developed for TV. Besides Preacher, The Boys is going to come out at some point or another. Garth Ennis has like several different like modes. Horror is not typically one of them, or when it is, it's usually mixed with humor, or it's humor. Yeah, it's usually mixed with humor. When he does really serious books, they are either war comics, usually, which can be horrific in their own way, depending on the subject matter. But a lot of times he just kind of does comedy. He's incredibly irreverent, and if I'm being honest, I think he's getting a little bit lazy with it. I think he sometimes is just his brand of just like shocking you. I don't think flies with me as much anymore. It shows less craft, I think, on his part. A Walk Through Hell is completely serious, just a fucked up horror book, and I do think he has a high capacity for that, so it's pretty effective. Was it about? One of the things that's cool about it is. Are we still not saying where we're from? Is that a secret? Like, what city I live in? Is that, like, a thing?
Why does it matter?
It matters to this. I don't know if I should say anything about it or not. Okay.
You've mentioned it before.
All right, so I live in Long Beach. You can figure it out whether it's on the West Coast or not. So there's not really any comic books that take place in Long Beach, so it was kind of cool that this one does. The reason why is because Long Beach is a port city. We have tons of stuff that comes in via the ocean. And so that's what this is a couple of agents, FBI agents, I think they're FBI agents, that show up to a crime scene that is at a warehouse in Long Beach. And the police officers that are already there are kind of just like, I don't know, man, you just need to go in there and see. The police officers that already went in there and came back out are fucked in the head. I don't want to spoil that. They do something that's like that kind of you've been driven to madness kind of thing that was really clever. But it's also the stinger, I think, for the first issue, so I won't say anything about it. So these guys got to go in there and they got to see what's up because I think they have a partner or another agent that also went in there and disappeared and they can't find him. Basically, this warehouse is just. Do you see Event Horizon? There's a lot of, it's just, it's not fucking right and you don't know why. And they will kind of figure it out as they go. And it has to do with a serial killer that they have both been investigating for years. But it's not clear how. It's still coming out. This is only the first volume. It's a mystery that's like unfolding as you go. I thought there were just some of the best reveals, just setup and payoffs in horror comics in this one. One in particular where they're in the dark and they can hear, what's that sound? And they eventually kind of figure out that it's the sound of a bullet casing. Oh no, it's the sound of a clicking gun after they'd heard a few gunshots. And they get closer and closer and they find this dude who is just sitting there on his knees with his gun to his head, and he has just been blowing his own head off, trying to, forever. And he's still standing, his eyes are open, he's not responding to any stimulus, and it was just an incredibly good like payoff and reveal. They're like, yeah, what is that? What is that sound? And they kind of figure it out and they see like, oh, it's just this guy clicking rounds into his head even though he's out of bullets. And it was creepy, it was unnerving, and I just thought it was really well done. So there you go. You got monster books, you got sci-fi books, you got ghost books, you got superhero books, and you have just warehouse fucked up shit and witches. That's a pretty, like, wide swath of things. I'm sure there were tons of other really good horror books this year that I missed. can't read everything. If you know of some that I missed, go ahead and put them below. I bet you a lot of the ones that you guys are gonna throw out there are not actually ones that came in 2018, which is fine. Like, I'm not gonna talk about Harrow County. I'm not gonna talk about, you know, this and that and other things that have been going on for a while. Just stuff that came out this year. But I'd love to hear about it if it's something I missed. I'm out of words. I talked about all the books. What else do I need to say?
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
See you next year, right?
I'll see you in 2019. I'll try to read more stuff so we can do a better version of this in 12 months. All right, see ya.